Hey guys, my name's Curtis. I go by C-Love, but you can call me what you want to. I'm a creative woodworker and a teacher. I started making YouTube videos to show you how to recreate simple woodworking projects in as little as a few hours if you're adequately prepared. And if I can put lights in there, I'm going to do that too. Now, I haven't been making YouTube videos very long. I don't have all the tools or a fancy shop, but I do have lots of ideas for videos I'm definitely gonna post. So go on and hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified when I drop a new one. I really appreciate your comments. I reply as quickly as I can. Your feedback is the fuel I need to keep getting better, so let me hear it. Obviously, I've already gotten started here. Today I'm making this beanbag toss game, apparently called Cornhole. And before I get too far into it, I'm going to go ahead and pause here for a moment on the materials list so you have a chance to screenshot. And we're right back at it. You're going to go ahead and make the measurements on your legs for your 1/2-inch carriage bolts and the arc so that they are able to swivel and close back up into the case for easy transport. From the top and the edge both, you're going to measure down 1 3/4 inches, and where those lines intersect is where your 1/2-inch hole will go for your carriage bolts. Before you drill your hole, you're going to take your compass set to 1 3/4 inches and put it on the spot where those two lines intersect, and draw you an arc towards the edge of your board, toward the end of your board. And they should get pretty close to the edge on the top on all 3 sides. Once you have those drawn, measured on all 4 of your legs, you can use the miter saw. I just use the miter saw and trim them down. You're definitely going to want to be as close as you can be to 1 3/4 inches from the top and edge when you're marking for your carriage bolt and your arc. Otherwise, you're gonna end up trimming it down like I did. I'll show you how to fix it. It's real easy. We're not building missiles here. We're trying to play the game. So let's slap it together and make it work. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but just using the miter saw, you can get pretty close to rounding them off. And I'll just use a palm sander and finish it up. You don't even need the palm sander, just lay a piece of sandpaper on the table and grind it down, and it's real quick and easy. Gonna go ahead and measure the inside of the frame for the 2.5-inch long by 1/2-inch wide galvanized carriage bolts that you're gonna use to secure the legs to the case. I'm gonna measure down 2 inches from the top just to make sure that I have enough clearance, and then I'm gonna measure 1 3/4 inches from one of the sides. Once you're centered up and have your holes drilled, you're gonna mount your legs on there with your bolts, and I just swiveled them and used a pin and marked where it's gonna stick out. You don't want this because once you put your deck on there, you don't want it to rub on there. So I just marked the excess and put it back on the miter saw real quick and trimmed it down a little bit more. Got the legs all mounted up and functional so that they won't bind up on the deck once that's mounted on there. So let's go on and put that on there. We're going to keep working. You're going to absolutely pre-drill all of your holes. Use one of your 1 5/8 inch screws to set the depth on. Probably an 1/8 inch bit will work. You don't need a gigantic hole. You just want to make sure that your screw goes in where you want it to and that your wood doesn't split. Once I finish getting the deck mounted, I'm going to put some cross braces in. I don't know that this is absolutely necessary, but it seemed like a great idea, so I did it. And then I'm going to use these chest latches to secure the 2 halves together so that I can transport it as one piece. We're going to go on and get the latches mounted. You can either stand your 2 halves up or weigh them down and make sure that they're wind up as closely as you can get them, and you're gonna mark your holes and pre-drill your holes. These aren't going to be nearly as deep because you're not going to use as long as screws to secure these to your case. Finish securing the chest latches to your two halves, and they're secured together pretty well. Pick you out a handle, whatever looks good. This one seemed like it'll work for me. Measure about halfway. You want to measure about halfway down your case and center it up as best you can and mount it on there. Measure down 9 inches from the top of your deck and 12 inches from the edge to get the center point of what will be a 6-inch hole that will become the target for your game. Now we're going to work on my personal favorite part of the project. I promise you, if I can put whites in there, I'm going to do it. So here we go. I found these 6.5 foot long LED light strips operated by 4 AA batteries, and it's operated with a remote control. These things are awesome. Definitely worth the upgrade for sure. You can see it has its own adhesive backing on there, but once I got them put on there, I put packing tape over the top just to make sure that it's mega secure. If I change this, I'll show you at the end of the video, but for now I came through the side of the case with the eye, so I don't have to fight with the remote to change the colors. Had to get a little creative making a mount for the battery pack. I want to be able to take the thing out and disconnect it or whatever if need be. So just have these little spares right here. They're 3/4 inch thick, same as the little cross brace. Just gonna put them in here like that. Wood glue on the top and the bottom. Extra little piece of 1x4. Drop a couple screws in there, and should slide in and out pretty smoothly. We'll see how it goes. So by now I've changed outfits many times, and it's pretty obvious that I'm just doing this when I have time, but it's a whole lot of fun and I love doing it, so I'm gonna keep on. I use 2-inch mending braces to keep the battery pack from sliding out of its little garage home area that I created for it. I didn't have a better way to do this next part, so I took one of the game pieces, kicked the legs out, and propped it up on a table with the legs hanging off the edge. Then I braced the game piece so that the back of the deck measured 12 inches from the surface of the table that it's propped up on, and then came off the edge of the table that the game piece is propped up on with a level. And mark my legs. That's going to be where you're going to cut it, and that will give you the angle that you want when your legs are fully kicked out to rest on the ground flat, and your deck will be 12 inches from the ground like it should be. Cut out the target holes, let's turn the lights on, and we're going to start getting really excited. You can see right here the mending braces that I mentioned earlier. I'm gonna fight with this thing for a moment trying to figure it out because it's my first time, but I'm in time lapse right now, so I'm gonna make it happen real quick. This thing's really starting to take some shape. Let's sand it down and paint it up and see what it looks like. I ended up moving the eye for the LED strip to the inside. Sand down the entire outside of the case and the legs with 80 grit sandpaper, and then I just sanded the deck with 220. Apply a coat of primer, and then I'm going to follow it up with a coat of ultra pure white. Make sure and poke your carriage bolts out of your case, and you will have a place to hang your legs while they dry. I'm going to go ahead and top coat it with bare ultra pure white. Let it dry for a little while and get it all back together. Let's see what we're looking like. This baby's ready for some gameplay. Thanks for taking the time to watch my videos. I really appreciate the support. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you soon.